Barbell Deadlift. We're going to start by talking about our feet position. I'm barefoot for many reasons, one being able to feel the ground, second being able to put pressure into the ground. A lot of people wear a soft-soled shoe. When they go to stand up, they drive their feet, the shoe squishes, kind of throws their balance off, and they lose proprioception with the ground. So we like to have more of a lifting style shoe, or best yet, more of the barefoot style. So a lot of people, when they get set up to deadlift, they try to squat their deadlift, which results in a wider stance and their hands getting in weird position relative to their elbows. So today we're talking about a conventional deadlift. A sumo deadlift is going to be feet wide, hands on the inside. Our setup is more so feet a little bit narrower, arms are going to be on the outside of the knees. So when you get set up, most people, their heels are going to be directly under their hips, toes turned out slightly. This also allows us to bias our adductors, which are really big, powerful hip extensors, which can help generate force to pick up the barbell. So if we let's go from the side here first. When I get set up, I really want to crowd the bar. I want the bar to drag up my shins as I stand up versus having the bar away from me. If the bar is getting away from my body as I'm standing up, one, it makes me inefficient because it puts a lot of the load onto the balls of my feet, and two, it increases the loading in my low back because it increases the moment arm from my low back to the bar. So, crowding the bar, I start with my shins just about touching, and then from here, I'm coming down to the bottom position. So, notice how I'm not in a squat position. So, my knees are not way out over my toes, and my torso is not completely vertical. I like to kind of cue a little bit of a forward lean to where my trunk and hips are flexed relatively to a 90-degree angle. And then we're going to talk about our setup with our lats and our trunk. A lot of people will really squeeze their upper back, shoulder blades together. They'll bend their elbows and they'll do this jerking motion as they stand up. Your lats are a lot bigger and a lot stronger than those smaller muscles in your upper back. Certainly you're going to feel it in your upper back. We want you to get used to being able to reach toward the ground as hard as you can. Now what that usually facilitates is a little bit of a rounding in the upper back, and that's often termed a negative thing. Certainly we don't want you deadlifting in a completely kyphotic position, but a little bit of thoracic spine flexion is not bad, and usually it gives you a little bit more of a mechanical advantage with the lift as well. So, back tracing my steps, my feet directly under my hips, toes slightly turned out. I'm coming to the bar where my hips and trunk is roughly a 90-degree angle. My knees are about in line with my toes. Now from here, I'm going to do that cue of reaching toward the ground as hard as I can. Chest fires, lats fire, and that locks in my upper back. I'm going to breathe in deep through my nose to create expansion through my abdomen and stability through my entire spine. Grab the bar, take the slack out of the bar, and then stand up. So again, I'm avoiding that jerking motion. So a lot of people end up doing that, to where they're doing kind of hips high, rounding my low back, bend it, break at the elbows, and then jerk the bar up. So I want you to get used to setting up in this position. Lats are locked in. Now from here, I'm thinking about driving my feet through the floor and taking the slack out of the bar. You'll actually hear a click. Hear the click? So once you kind of hear and feel that click, the slack is out of the bar, and then I just stand straight up. Much more efficient bar path goes vertically. I'm essentially dragging the bar up my legs. Now, when I go to lower the bar, I'm going to do a hinge first to clear my kneecaps, then squat back to the bottom position, or just drop it. Okay, so breathing and bracing is vital. Remember that we're trying to brace through our lats, not our upper back. You need to breathe in through your nose to create circumferential expansion into your midsection. My feet are going to be directly under my hips. Most people are most comfortable toed out ever so slightly, and it's not a squat. So we're not squatting the deadlift bar, and we're not doing a full-on stiff-legged or an RDL. It's somewhere in the middle between those two. Get used to that sensation of keeping the elbows locked out pulling the slack out of the bar with the click. And then standing straight up by driving my feet through the floor and pulling the weight vertically. The last piece is finishing. When you stand up, a lot of people will really overarch their back and lean into the bar like so. And what that does is actually kind of changes the biomechanics that's going through your hip. It makes it a little bit harder to finish with your hip. And then you'll develop some irritability in the front of your hips and your low back. So when you stand up, you want to simply think about squeezing your butt and bringing your hips to the bar and staying as tall as possible so you're not leaning back. Take your time to rep this out to get a good feel for it before increasing a bunch of the load. Because the idea here is we want to have really good fundamental mechanics to kind of build our strength levels upon.